right? It's like an Olive Garden. No, it's not. I hope it's better than that. Listen, it's an honor to be here tonight among many friends who are reshaping the Republican Party and also winning big for the state of Connecticut. And I'm here to talk a little bit tonight about that. So let's get that out of the way really quick. You all know what I'm exploring, but tonight I'm going to talk a little bit more with you about how I think the Republican Party can win, as opposed to talking about myself. You guys can ask me about that afterwards, and I'm sure I'll be back another time to talk about those things. To Andy, to Chairman Andriana, thank you so much for the invitation to come down here and speak this evening, and thank you for all of your hard work that you do day in and day out to promote our Republican Party and fight on behalf of the people of Connecticut. A round of applause for all of you who are elected representatives here in Stamford and beyond. Thank you so much for what you do for our party. So for those of you who do not know me, let me introduce myself. I'm Erin Stewart. I am the brash, straight-talking, millennial Republican mayor of the great city of New Britain for the last 12 years. I have been kicking ass and taking names since 2013. I was elected at 26. I'm only 27 now. I'm not really sure how that happens, but we're going to go with it. It's fine. I am a proud mother to two little ones. I have my daughter Lena, who is 4, and my son Nikki, who is 18 months. So if I look tired, I apologize, but whatever, we're here. And for all those working moms out there, you know what it takes. Your head down, you just do it, and you just go. My husband is a great partner to me in this endeavor. My husband Dominic, he's a public works guy, hates politics. I don't want to say hates. Just isn't really interested in it. So that's why I don't really get him to come to too many things with me. He comes to the important things, like inaugurations, election days, things like that. Other than that, you're not going to see him. He loves his kids too, and we make a great couple. I was elected at the ripe old age of 26, and I've been on a mission for the last 12 years to rebuild and restore pride in my community, in an urban center in the center of Connecticut, a city that raised and that loves me. Let me give you a little snapshot of New Britain. About 80,000 people, majority of which are Hispanic. That is who I represent, and 4-1 Democrat to Republican. Let me rephrase that. 4-1. Republicans are outnumbered 4-1 by every Democrat, and I have won 6 elections, 2 years each, and have been winning by larger margins after each election, which is very rare. Usually it shrinks year after year. We've been growing, which when I announced that I wasn't going to run for re-election this past September, it caught everybody, I think, by surprise. But 12 years is a long time, as I'm sure you can imagine, and I've kind of term limited myself, which I do believe in that. You can't be mayor forever, even though folks have asked me to be. No thanks. There's a lot of headaches. But I was elected to fix some very serious problems in my community, and some very serious problems in my hometown but I'm proud to report that after over a decade of hard work, we're finally coming out of that on the other side. So I'm just going to take you back and tell you the story about New Britain, because in 2013, the city of New Britain was dangling from a fiscal cliff. Community pride was non-existent. Downtown was a dead zone. You couldn't even find a place to get a coffee in downtown New Britain. It was pretty sad. Vagrant activity, public drug use, it was stifling development. Mismanagement from failed leadership was on full display. We were on the verge of a state takeover of our finances. The Municipal Accountability Review Board was breathing down our backs, coming in and threatening to take over. We were the punchline of everybody's jokes in the state of Connecticut, but not anymore. Through common sense and conservative leadership, we stood up, we fought back, we won. Despite being outnumbered politically 4-1, we did the impossible. Not only did I lower taxes, but when I became mayor, I inherited a $30 million operating deficit. And today, that $30 million operating deficit is a $34 million surplus, something that common sense, fiscal, good leadership. That's what it is. And that's why Republicans need to take office in this state. That's why we need to win. That's what we need to work towards. Because at the crux of this, what do people care about? Taxes and pocketbook issues. That's something that transcends party lines. In addition to all of that, I led the transformation of downtown New Britain. I've got about $330 million in new private development that's happening right now. That's unheard of in communities like mine. Usually it's subsidized, this is private money that I'm very, very proud of. We've cared about our schools. We've transformed our schools. We're reinvesting money, over $600 million, into new and improved school facilities, increased funding for education, rebuilding our infrastructure and parks to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. We've also battled addiction and homelessness, creating a model for the state called New Britain Recovers, all while leaving that $34 million surplus. And I tell you this all tonight because despite the odds being against us, it can absolutely be done. So as a Republican mayor in a heavily Democrat city, it's nice to be in a room with so many Republican friends in a different area of the state. And so let me just thank you so much for having me down here. Thank you. It is an honor. I'm gonna drive over that. But we're here to celebrate the first Republican president, to celebrate the successes of the last election, to raise money and prepare for the battles ahead for this municipal cycle too. So let us not forget that. And let us get a head start on ushering in a new generation of leadership to fix our broken state. But we're also here tonight to start that conversation on how we build a better future for our party and build a better future for the people of Connecticut. And we have to realize that this is a difficult conversation because while we've seen some successes locally in communities across Connecticut, the success is just not translating statewide. And the past few years of statewide races have been disappointing, to say the least. And we're obviously doing something wrong, and we have to talk about this, and these are tough conversations to have, but the question is, how do we fix it? How do we build a better future for the party? How do we build this better future for the people of Connecticut? So my answer to this question is a simple one. You have to have a winning message. You have to put the right candidates forward. You have to work harder than the other side, understand what makes your electorate tick, and you have to govern with common sense. And if you do all of those things, we'll elect more Republicans, we'll build a better party for our future and for our state. But make no mistake, my success in New Britain, it wasn't luck. I didn't have a rabbit's foot off my you-know-what. I mean, I might have, I didn't really know it was there if it was. But it came from having a winning message. And there were 4 things that were part of that message, and those 4 things are that I have talked about ad nauseum for the last 12 years. 1, don't spend more money than you make. 2, focus on growth. 3, care for the vulnerable in your community because it very well may be you someday. And 4, protect the taxpayer. And I've been running on this same message for the past 6 election cycles. It's led to remarkable success. I've won re-election by margins ranging from 15 to 30 points. Republicans have held every citywide office. That's impressive. I was actually surprised by that one too. We controlled a supermajority on our city council. We have a supermajority currently on our boards and commissions, and we're evenly represented on our city council right now. Our message is short, to the point, it's understandable, it's focused. That's what we have to talk in, unfortunately, these days. We have to talk like TikTok, like 5-second intervals where you can grab people's attention. But if we can replicate that statewide without getting lost in the minutia of every single little issue that the intolerant left throws at us and stay on point, we're gonna have better results. Work smarter and harder than the other side. And you know this. Let's talk a little bit, let's get in the weeds a little bit here for all of my politicos, right? Direct voter contact wins elections, and somewhere along the way, we've kind of lost sight of that. I run every race like I'm 10 points down. Everybody says, oh, Erin, you got it, you're a shoo-in. I never take that. I always run every race like I am going to lose. You leave everything that you have on the field, you take nothing for granted. Despite the individual popularity of politicians or impending red waves that never seem to make it to Connecticut, we have to grasp that in the state of Connecticut, we are vastly outnumbered and that we need to be better than the other side in order to win elections. So every campaign cycle, every election cycle, my campaign makes smart investments in identifying voters, building that reliable field program, sending micro-targeted messages to our voter bloc. But here's a key piece for all of you too. We have looked at changes to voting as an opportunity rather than a burden. And I think oftentimes, we fine-tune our campaign operations to not only compete with the Democrats on same-day voter registration or same-day voting and absentee ballots, but win them. So in 2021 and 2023, I can confidently say that our absentee ballot program is what delivered most of our Republicans on our city council. because we used what many Republicans were fighting against as an opportunity to beat them at their own game. I ran it and I called it Vote Early for Erin. Was there voting early then? No. Who the hell cares? We made it up. Whatever. It worked. And people bought it. And we mailed home those absentee ballots, and we targeted our voter base. And we got over 800 mail-in votes for people that, didn't need an excuse to do it, but it worked for us. So on election day, when we were counting those ballots and they were coming back, a Republican vote after Republican vote after Republican vote, our Democratic Registrar of Voters was like freaking out, and I was standing there grinning in the back of the room, knowing that it was the effort that we put forth that was going to deliver victories for our local city council races because of those efforts. So we took what we saw as challenges instead as opportunities. I'll also tell another funny story too. So my first election in 2013, it was the first year that election day registration was a thing. Now I'm a CCSU grad, New Britain through and through, let me tell you. When we had election day registration, I don't want to mess up the video, okay, we're good. When I had election day registration, I rented a bus. I rented a bus and I drove it right into the middle of CCSU. My dad drove it, actually, which is phenomenal. My dad was a former mayor of New Britain as well. My dad drove it and he said, you got a CCSU grad that's on the ballot, get on the bus, take a donut, have a cup of coffee, we're taking you to vote. So when you have 200 people that go in to vote, well, that helped make the difference for me in 2013 when I first ran, because I had a bunch of college students on a bus and we gave them donuts and coffee. Do that. Don't be afraid to do that. Go into the belly of the beast. Go and talk to the people that you don't think that you have anything in common with, because you know what? You got more in common with them than what you think. And it ends up working out better for you in the end. We have to understand what makes the electorate better and focus on a message that's winning and unifying issues, right? Cost of living, crime, growing the economy, reducing the tax burden. And we can't let the left wing hijack the debate with social issues. So we have to be much more forceful, in my opinion, on fighting back and pushing back onto the extremist corner that they try to paint us into. The Connecticut Republican Party is the big tent party in Connecticut, and we have to do a better job defining ourselves as such. And to that point, we have to stop the circular firing squad that many in our party embrace by imposing a litmus test on membership. And that's not fair. It serves no one. It costs us elections because there simply aren't enough of us to win. I stand up here as a proud, proven fiscal conservative and a social moderate, and I'm okay with saying that. My campaign manager, who was unfortunately not here tonight because he's taking his son to Disney for his birthday, Brock Weber, but he is probably one of the most conservative Republicans that I know, and he's my campaign manager. And somehow we still get along. And we may not agree on every single thing, but we agree that we have to do all we can to accept and embrace people in our party that have a somewhat differing viewpoint on a handful of issues, because we believe that we'll grow and make the party stronger for it. It was President Reagan who said the person who agrees with you 80% of the time is a friend and an ally, not a 20% traitor. Amen. So finally, I will say that voters recognize good common sense governance and are rewarded for it. I'm proud of the good, honest work we did in New Britain. We were building, caring, and leading a community that was very lost for a long time. We've reinvested in our infrastructure, added businesses and jobs. We protected our most vulnerable, planned for our future. All of these things that Republicans can do under a Republican umbrella, and they tell us that we can't because we're Republicans. Well, I say BS. I was going to swear, but I wasn't really sure about swearing. We've taken a common sense approach to reducing the size of government in New Britain. I make the joke that I was Doge before Doge was a thing. I did. In New Britain, we've had 11 consecutive years of grand list growth. We've held the line on taxes. I lowered them this year. I might be one of the only communities in the state to have done that. We've streamlined government, and our successes are what common sense Republican leadership looks like, and it's a model that should be used for statewide success and shows us that we need to win locally this year and statewide in 2026 with that winning message. We build a better future by building a better party, one that's ready and able to compete. A stronger Republican Party means a stronger and better future for the residents of Connecticut, and I'm ready to roll up my sleeves to help in any way that I can to make that vision a reality, whether I'm the candidate or not. Of course, I would love to be the candidate. But I'm exploring, right? Yeah, I'm exploring, okay. But we shouldn't, and I don't believe that we should have to compromise on the core values of our party, right? Like lower taxes, smaller government, ensuring equality, freedom of speech, parental rights, school choice, the right to bear arms, believing in two genders. We don't have to compromise on those things to win elections. It's about how you package it and how we speak about it. We don't need to win because, we don't need to, because with New Britain, you need to win. Winning is everything. If you can't win, you can't talk about any of this stuff. Let's talk about that for a second. Winning is everything. Yeah. Winning is everything. Yeah. New Britain, as evidence, all we have to do to win is think smarter, work harder, run and govern stronger. We can change the narrative. I believe that we can usher in a new generation of leadership to fix this state, and the dark reality right now is that it's now or never, and that's why I started this exploratory effort. Connecticut is, there's no doubt about it, our state that we all love is absolutely drifting into decline. Taxes and the cost of utilities are too high. Young families like mine struggle every day to make ends meet. It's ridiculous. We're losing businesses and talent to other states. We have no long-term vision of who we are, where we want to go. Our state is stagnant because our leadership is stagnant, with no vision for the future. I say this when I see all of my friends and all of their kids that are graduating college and leaving, or they're before that, they're graduating high school and leaving and they're never coming back. Don't we deserve to live in a state where we want to see our kids raise their families? I want to see my kids stay here. But right now, there's no way in hell they're staying in Connecticut. And Lena's only 4, and that's saying a lot. But my parents were lucky enough to see me stay here and raise my family here, but not all of us are that lucky, and we're seeing that happen more and more. I want to create a Connecticut that we believe in, that our kids believe in, that want to stay here. And our Republican message is a strong one. Our policies work. We just have to do a better job of communicating these facts to voters across the state of Connecticut, but with the right messengers. Republicans know that Connecticut is stronger when we embrace opportunity, when we celebrate economic mobility, and when we free ourselves from the restraints of overtaxation and strangling regulations. We know that Connecticut is stronger when we give people a reason to invest here. When individualism and entrepreneurship is unleashed, when we can chart a vision for real growth versus settling for that damn dogmatic label that they say all the time, that Connecticut is the land of steady habits. And soon I will make sure the voters across Connecticut know that too, that we are not settling for that anymore. We want real growth. We can't afford to make the same mistakes of the past. And I say this to all of you today because you're going to have competitive races up and down the ballot in this election cycle. Build the party infrastructure for success now, and make sure that you work to nominate strong candidates that can win. Because as I said before, winning is everything. Nothing else matters, and proper preparation is key to that victory. I'm here tonight to stand shoulder to shoulder with each of you to do that, and together we'll deliver the Republicans the victory the voters of this state need, and the victory that we deserve. And I'm glad to be here this evening, coming 2 weeks off of my visit to the White House. There was some fake news that reported that I said that I was going to get endorsed by President Trump the last time. So let me rephrase that now. If there's any fake news in the room tonight, I said we're going to work hard to earn his endorsement so that we can get through this Republican primary, so that we can make it to the next level, so that we can clear, hopefully, the field in this exploratory effort, and get us to the point where we are competing with the Democrats and showing them that there is a Republican candidate that is not losing, that is not going to take no for an answer, that is not going to stop, and will take this message to every corner of this state so that we are victorious, not just in the governor's race, but for our state reps and our state senators too, because you guys are just as important, if not more important to the success of this state, is that we elect our Republican representatives all the way down the board. And I have a history with building a team in New Britain to do that.